I'm aware that many of you have expressed a desire for online counseling, and to that effect, we have a sponsor who will help you and assist you in that respect. So if you will, go beneath the video, you'll find a link to our online counseling sponsor. They have a whole team of counselors that can help you. Practice self-care, get the help that you need. Do you have people in your life who simply cannot and will not receive your input? Now, we could be talking about any of a number of circumstances where this could happen. Obviously, it can happen right inside your home, whether it's, some of those teenagers that you deal with or the person you live with and have brought those teenagers into the world with, extended family members, place of work. Certainly, we have this mindset where people don't receive input in the world of politics and business and religion. There are some individuals who are so fixed in their ways of thinking, they're so determined that they have to be right, that when you come along and say, well, there's actually a bit of a different way that we could look at this, it's like, no, that's not it. Now, they have certain pet phrases that they like to use. One of my least favorite phrases is, hey, that's just the way I am. You ever hear that one? Or, if you don't like what I think, well, that's your problem. That's another one of their favorite phrases. Or, so you think you know everything, which is classic projection, I might add. Or, me, what about you? Whenever you talk with these individuals who cannot and will not receive input, they have all these little pet phrases. And frankly, it reveals a fearful form of defensiveness, but they dress it up as stubborn confidence. They have such a sense of certainty about who they are, when in fact, that's not the case at all, at least the way I look at it. Now, when we have people that cannot and will not receive input, there are multiple evidences that indeed is where they're coming from. For example, these individuals refuse to blend. It's like, look, my way of thinking and doing is really all that matters. Haven't you figured that out yet? Where they can give quick and ready invalidation to your perspectives or your feelings. They just slap it down just as fast as you can please. Or they obviously have an inflated conception of who they are. And sometimes they can be really charming until you disagree with them, and then all of a sudden they become a jerk all over again. These are individuals who have such a deep and hidden insecurity. And what I'd like to do is ask, if you're so certain, if you're so secure in so much of what you believe, then why do you have to be so adversarial? You see, I operate with various truths about the way that we engage with each other. And the first thing is, every one of us has blind spots. And I don't ever want to be so foolish to think that I'm one that does not have blind spots, or every one of us has serious flaws that other individuals are able to see. Let's talk about it, and we can plan and work with one another. Some people just can't think that way. Or another basic truth that we can hold on to is you can appreciate that others have insights that maybe you just simply haven't thought about. And they perhaps can give you helpful suggestions. But some of these individuals, it's like, no, I don't acknowledge that truth in the least. And I'm sure there have been times when you felt like, yeah, I know. You remind me of that over and over. And if you're a healthy person, you don't really feel the need to have to push your irrefutable truth. The fact that you hold on so stubbornly implies there's a hidden insecurity that's there, but that's a truth that's lost on many of these individuals. Healthy individuals don't feel the need to bully. They can remain open-minded, and they can allow for distinctives in one another based on all sorts of other kinds of influences, like a person's family of origin or cultural backgrounds or their stage of life or their unique life circumstances that they've lived through that maybe others have not shared with them. I mean, there are all sorts of nuances that go into the making of a person's take on life, but there are some individuals it's like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know those things about you, and I don't want you to tell me what you think you know about me. Their mind is made up. It's the old forget the facts, just do what I tell you to do anyway. Now, I'm hoping that as you observe those individuals, you may realize you're very limited with respect to how close you're going to be able to be with them and how far you're going to be able to go in terms of creating an influence with them. But I'm hoping it can at least give you the motivation to say, I don't want to be that kind of person. And in that vein, I want to highlight about a half a dozen or so different truths here that we can anchor down on so that you can be the person that says, well, I do like to receive input. For example, one of the truths that I hope that you can incorporate is being right is good. But I may not be nearly as, but my sense of correctness may not be nearly as absolute as I might originally have thought it to be. Now, that's a thought that some people find to be very threatening. You have people that approach life with a very authoritarian kind of a way. And so when you say, well, maybe you're not nearly as accurate as you say you are, they can come down and say, oh, yes. I know exactly what's correct, and you cannot dissuade me from the truth, and no one's going to water down my convictions and belief. And if that's the case, then you're a heretic, or you're an outlier, or you're a loser, or whatever it might be. But being right may not be nearly as absolute as we might think it is. There are all sorts of ways to look at different events and circumstances. Another hard truth that we can hold on to, and that it's the old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I know I've used that phrase before, and perhaps you've heard that. People are going to be influenced by your goodness and your love and your acceptance, your open-mindedness, not by your stubborn, argumentative determination to cram truth down the throat of anybody that's willing to listen to you. I'm hoping that you can be a person that emphasizes love over correctness. Or another truth that we want to hold on to, and that is the more stubborn you are, the less influential you're going to be. Some of these individuals who have to be right, and they have to have the final word, they think, yeah, I'm a person of real influence. And maybe for a while they can get away with it and bully their way into all sorts of decisions in groups, etc. But over time, that wears thin. And eventually people are going to think, get away from me. You're not an influential person. You're just a bore. You're somebody that makes life miserable. I don't want to be around you. But that's a truth that's lost on some of these stubborn people who cannot receive input. Or here's another thing that many people find to be just antithetical to their way of thinking, and that is actually your willingness to change or to accommodate other individuals can be a sign of strength. Now, many of these stubborn and non-input receiving individuals think, well, if I accommodate people, compromise, oh, that's nasty. That's terrible. I can't do that. But actually, in doing so, when you say, well, I can take a look at where you are, then you wind up having a greater influence, not a lesser influence, which leads to another truth that we could incorporate, and that is differentness doesn't have to be interpreted as a threat. If you have a belief about politics or social policy or God or how to handle issues at home or how to manage your children, there are all sorts of different ideas and opinions that can be there. And if someone comes along and says, well, I have a different thought on all of that, then rather than feeling threatened by that, it's like, well, I'd like to listen to you. Perhaps I could learn something. If nothing else, I can know you at a better level. Basically, we're going to hold on to the truth that says healthy living requires a sense of give and take, not this stubborn refusal that says I am so correct and it's my job to make sure that you know how correct I am and you need to get in line. I don't want to be that kind of person. Now, It could be that those individuals in your life who say, hey, that's just the way I am, they're not going to change. They're not going to appreciate what I'm trying to say and what you're wishing to carry with you in your way of life. And so you'll need to lower your expectations accordingly. And these are going to be individuals that you'll need to kind of pull away from in terms of having their influence in your life. But I'm hoping that you'll take a look at yourself and ask, well, am I an unbending person? Because I hope not. I want to be somebody that has convictions and has my preferences, and I'm willing to have my assertions and my distinctives, but I want to do so with the appreciation for the fact that there's so much variety in thought and lifestyle and interpretation that I can certainly make room for that in others. That being the case, that's when your influence goes up, not down. And in doing so, with your love, with your decency, and with the respect that goes along with the thoughts I'm talking about, relationships can be much healthier. Unfortunately, there are not enough people that think that way, but I'm hoping you can be somebody who sets that kind of healthy pace. I hope that videos such as this give you something good to think about. If you've not already subscribed to the Dr. Les Carter channel, you know I also have the Surviving Narcissism channel, but go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We'll keep more videos coming toward you. If you have a need for counseling, and if you have someone in your immediate area, then I would encourage you to seek that out. Or if you would prefer, we actually have a link below the videos for online counseling. We have a sponsor that has a whole team of licensed professional counselors with experience. And so if that's something you would want to look into, then we have the tab that can take you down there. We have my courses, free to be. We also have a new one upcoming called This Is Me, about how to establish boundaries with the controllers in your life, and that's something you'll need to watch for in the weeks ahead. And also we have links to my books, etc. So we have plenty of resources that I hope can help you. You know, there's some folks that just can't receive input. I'm hoping you can be somebody that says, actually, your influence and your positive contributions come by your very flexibility. And flexibility doesn't mean that you drop what you believe. It just means that you realize that variety is built into nature, including human nature. And as you're able to anchor in that, I'm hoping that it positions you to be a person of distinction, of steadiness, and someone who can actually bring peace and decency to your primary relationships. I want that for you.